All the usual suspects lined up for a shot at the champion at round 1. But a first lap pileup left many of the contenders scratching their heads and searching for answers. For some, the motos ended early. For others, the bad luck kept on coming. As Ricky Carmichael's challengers continued to struggle, it was the number 4 Suzuki who remained on top once again, looking down on the competition. Can anyone step up to the challenge? 250cc AMA Nationals coming up next. It's a perfect day for racing at the second stop of 12, the AMA Motocross Championship presented by FMF. We're in Mount Morris, Pennsylvania. Today's telecast presented by Parts Unlimited. As the course workers prepare the facility here, some last-minute changes to Mount Morris, Pennsylvania's High Point Raceway. The weather, that is going to be a factor. I'm Robbie Floyd with David Bailey, former motocross champion. Aaron Bates down in the pits. And David, it was dry in Sacramento, but that's not the case here in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, we're getting really lucky, too. This was yesterday. It was pretty bad out there. And then as soon as the track started to get good, it rained some more and made it even more difficult. So you see J-Bone right here preparing James Stewart's bike. A little bit of foam in there. You can see it behind the brake pedal, keeping brake indications. The mud just gets everywhere. And the more mud's on the bike, the heavier it is.
And it also helps some riders, maybe not the short guys. They have to put their foot down, you know, when it's muddy. But if you're long, lanky, you're used to this kind of stuff, man, that's got to be a bonus for it to be wet. Aaron Bates is with David Vuillemin.
All right, well, guys, it's been over 4 years and 2 days since anybody other than Kevin Windham has beat Ricky Carmichael in a 250 national main event. David Vuillemin taking the victory here, 2001, under the same conditions. Saturated track, heavily rutted. What are your thoughts going into today's race?
It's going to be good this afternoon. You know, it rained a lot last night, and it was muddy yesterday, but you know, I think for the race, it's going to be perfect.
David, what do you think? He likes this track. He's already rubbing elbows with Ricky in practice.
Ricky just trying to bully his way by right there. And, you know, David loves these conditions, but I think he understands by race time it's going to be completely different. A little bit tough to set up the motorcycle because you're going to have such a different racetrack later on. But these guys have been here before.
And Ricky's been here before. We talked to him earlier.
I still can't believe how well last week went, and don't look for it. I'm not looking for it to be that easy every weekend, that's for sure. So, like I said, I'm interested to see how it's going to be this weekend.
Ricky Carmichael, no question in my mind, the best motocross rider ever. Look at these stats. Which one impresses you the most, Dave?
Well, I like the 29 consecutive moto wins. That's just, it's hard to do that by yourself without some sort of an issue or flat tire. But when you go into the first corner with 39 other guys, including James, you never know what's going to happen. James and Ricky's been able to come out on top 29 times in a row.
The 259 Kawasaki's James Stewart. Is he healthy in Hangtown? He pulled off, but, you know, they say he's back. And is he? That's the question.
I want to win again. You know, it's been a couple of weeks since I won, and, you know, it's just, you know, it's different. I'm not used to, you know, not winning and stuff, and I want to do it. And, you know, Ricky's going good, but also, you know, he can be beat. And, you know, I feel like, you know, me and the other guys can't do it, so I want to get it done.
I think if most people think Ricky Carmichael is going to get beat, it's going to be James Stewart who does that. He is a champion. He's won several 125 motocross championships. The 250 is a different story, David.
Well, Chad's getting better and better outdoors as well. He doesn't want to just be known as a Supercross rider, but James, he goes for it. And he can win anywhere, anytime, any track.
Another guy who's very good at motocross. Now, how can you count out Kevin Windham? 2 years ago, he was, you know, rubbing plastic with him, but last year, kind of a little fall off for us.
Yeah, I thought Kevin would have a really good chance if it kept raining. Now that it's starting to dry up a little bit, it's really going to come down to the start. Whoever gets out to a good start right away is going to be able to pull away.
They've only started 2 times in motocross. Sacramento, Ricky Carmichael gets out front and tries to check it out. Let's take a look at this Mount Morris track.
Well, why change a good thing? The layout has always been spectacular here, up and down the hills, plenty of off cambers and jumps. Great for the crowd, too, since they've cleared the trees. You can see the whole track. You know, Robbie, the story really is Mother Nature. You know, it was muddy to begin with, but I think by race time there's going to be plenty of lines and perfect dirt.
I think you're right. You see the Honda starting grid. Ricky Carmichael first pick on the gate. He is our current points leader. It's a long series, though. This is only the second stop of 12. Anything can happen. And James Stewart, he actually hopes something does happen. He's got a lot of ground to make up, but don't count out Reed, especially K-Dub, Kevin Windham on that 450 Honda.
Well, Kevin's got great starts here before, and here we go.
250 Moto number 1. You see Reed, the 22 Yamaha. Carmichael, the number 4 to his left. Who's going to get the ever-important start? It's Ricky Carmichael to the inside. Boy, they did not want to see that happen, and look at him hug that inside. He's trying to check out early, and it looks like David Vuillemin in second, right at number 12.
Great start for John Dowd right there, number 16, and John Sebastian Waugh on a 250. Beat James off the line. That's a big story. And, you know, nothing new here. Carmichael leading already. You can see that the track is still pretty rutted. But I think it's going to get better and better. After just a few laps, the track's going to really start coming around. But right now, Ricky is spotless. You see James starting to get into the picture right there now.
Yeah, James gets by John Dowd. Dowdy back in, former champion, the number 16. Trying to close in on James Stewart, the 259 into third, closing in on Vuillemin. Vuillemin got that start, but you saw immediately reaching for tear-off. When it's muddy like that, vision is going to be very important. You don't want to tear them all off at one time. And look at Stewart looking for different lines. Might not be the fastest, but it's a different one.
Never follows. That's what I like about James. He's able to create a pass for himself, double over that thing, and already into second place. And I guarantee you Ricky's going to look back over his shoulder and be like, where did he come from? Because around the first turn, he was about 5th or 6th.
And you see the track is drying up better in some sections. You see the light sections, it's dry right there, but you also see the rut. And look at James Stewart going downhill. Ricky Carmichael knows when he comes around the next time that Stewart will be behind him. Vuillemin drops back to third, Dowdy into fourth. But now, if you're James Stewart, I mean, do you try and set, you know, the tone for the rest of the year? Do you try and just hammer on him? Do you stay behind him and see if he makes a mistake? What do you think?
Well, there's a lot of stuff that can be put on paper for James Stewart in this situation right now, but I think what's happening is he's young and he can't help it. When he's got Ricky that close, he's going to go for it. Even if it doesn't make sense in the long haul, he's still going to try to make the pass, do something to Ricky that very few people have been able to do.
You saw those statistics, so many Moto wins. I mean, a perfect season last year, and so far perfect this year after 2 Motos. Can James Stewart catch up with Ricky Carmichael? I mean, people forget. I mean, they're like, oh, James, but it's Ricky who has not been beat. I mean, he has 2 perfect seasons in his career. James can't say that.
No, he's been close in the 125, but 250 class is completely different. That's the first time I've seen anybody triple that all weekend, and James followed right up over the top of it. Barely made the corner, but whatever Ricky does, that's what he's going to do because he doesn't want to see him get away. And, you know, I don't know that his physical fitness is really where it ought to be. Since Houston, he hurt his ribs. In Vegas, he hurt his hand. At the last round, he was sick, so I think he's coming in here at a disadvantage physically. But these first few laps, it doesn't matter. He is starting to inch up, Robbie. Ricky can feel this pressure. This place is starting to come alive.
And Ricky's mechanic gave him the pit board, Gosler, when he came by, and you know he gave him that update. Who's behind you? How much is the lead? And he'll check on that each lap. But look at this course. I mean, we talk about how the course and the riders adapt to that course. I don't know if there is a certain condition Ricky's good at. He's passing all of muddy, dry. He doesn't care. He just goes out there and blows through it. James, he just pins it no matter what as well, though. But, you know, he doesn't have that back-down mode that Ricky may have.
Right, and I think that's what Ricky's counting on is going to get him to win this championship again. You know, over guys like James Stewart and Chad, is that he's so confident in his program. You know, I talked about this at the last round. He doesn't have any doubt in his ability to go fast the whole entire race. So right now, he's probably feeling like, go ahead, James. Catch me if you can. Let's go at it.
And let's see what we have to see. Yeah, let's see what you've got a little bit later. You saw the lap times, 3:20, or 2:20, shall I say. In the first practice of the day, 3:02. So, I mean, it's already, like you mentioned, the track's going to get better, already 30 seconds better than it was the first practice of the day. There's Ricky Carmichael. I mean, a lesson on how to ride motocross. Good form, downshift there. I mean, he runs it. Team Suzuki cheering him on. But there's James Stewart in his rearview mirror. And look at the gap. I mean, you won't even see a rider very close behind either one of them.
Ricky's starting to feel the pressure now. With a mistake here and there, James, that just takes total strength right there to go through that section the way he did. Balance and strength. And these guys have got it wired. Ricky's been a little bit stronger for the long haul. This is James' first chance. And you know what? I'm encouraged to see that he's able to match Ricky that last lap and actually inch up a little bit more.
Ricky Carmichael, James Stewart first and second as they complete one more lap. Coming downhill, making that left-hand turn. Some jumps in there. James coming up a little bit short.
Stuff like this right here, I mean, James has got to get around that corner before the triple with everything he's got. He's got less power. Look ahead.
Jerry Albrecht looking good, looking good. Keep it up right there. He likes that pace. As long as he has Ricky right there in front of him, who knows? James may not be giving it his all. Who knows? Ricky might not as well. But there, oh, nice knack-knack save by Ricky Carmichael. Pulled his foot off of the pegs. Some guys might have given up and did the Superman down that straightaway.
Oh, he's just trying to make his own line right there. He doesn't like where those ruts are taking him. And it's that little dab right there. And that was...
That's something that Grant Langston and the 125s cannot do. We'll see that show later on in the week. But Ricky Carmichael does the foot dab, and I mean, that could have thrown him over the spike just as easily.
That's what's so impressive about Ricky. He's so strong and has such great balance. That stuff doesn't affect him.
Do you see the bobble by Carmichael? We'll find out if he has any others when we return.
Looking for a little getaway spot? Well, you won't find it here. OLN is taking you to the deadliest, most unforgiving edges of the planet.
I just think pray, because I don't know whether you're going to survive.
Countdown 25 most dangerous places. Mount St. Helens, Tornado Alley, Mount Everest.
It doesn't break, it breaks you.
It's a one-way ticket to hell. An all-new Countdown 25 most dangerous places. Numbers 20 to 16, tonight at 10. Only on OLN.
Suzuki motorcycles and ATVs have been making hearts race for years. Suzuki Fest is no different. APR as low as 6.95% on select motorcycles and ATVs. Monthly payments starting at just $67. Race in, ride off.
Back to Mount Morris. I'm Robbie Floyd with David Bailey. Ricky Carmichael leads this one, the High Point Raceway's AMA Motocross Series presented by FMF. Always here on OLN, presented by Parts Unlimited. Taking a look back through the pack, you see Kevin Windham, rider number 14. He's way back, David.
Look at him with the speed off, paddling through these deep ruts. Looks like he's got some momentum on Sebastian Wall. Looks over and just pretty much gives him the spot. You know, I think Kevin's realizing right here, Robbie, that if he doesn't get a start in the top 3 or 4, he can just kiss a moto win or even second place goodbye. The leaders are so far ahead, I couldn't even believe it.
45 seconds plus behind. Wall drops back and forth. The Canadian looks good in a top 5 spot now, though. Great start by Ricky Carmichael. You see James Stewart closing in fast. Right now, Aaron Bates is with his mechanic, Jeremy Albrecht.
J-Bone, it looks like Bubba's closing in that gap on RC. Do you think he has what it takes today?
Yeah, definitely. You know, last week he had a tough race. He was sick throwing up the night before. And, you know, no excuses. It's a long season, and it can happen to anybody. So he's just out there trying to have some fun. He hasn't really had fun the last couple races. So looks like he's doing a good job out there.
Looks like at RC and Bubba, they've got such a dramatic lead right now. It's almost embarrassing for everybody else in the pack.
Yeah, I mean, both of them are really fast. It's going to be a great season. I hope that they both stay up there and have a good battle for everybody.
Good luck today.
Thanks.
And what you don't see when you're watching this battle is how bad James Stewart is getting roosted from that 450. I mean, just being next to the racetrack, it hurts.
Oh, look at him pull up side. They saying hello, going to the inside, setting up. And it looks like Stewart takes over and passes Carmichael. When was the last time we can say that happened in motocross?
It's been a while, and he passed him in the gnarliest part of the racetrack. That's one of the sections not very many people like. It just takes sheer strength and nerve to jump down there like that. Ricky's going, hey, if you want it that bad, I'll just follow you for a little while and figure out where you're catching.
The Fox Racing Kawasaki gets by the Fox Racing Suzuki. Carmichael drops back to second. Now will he see what James is doing? James obviously a little bit faster. Will he tuck in behind and say, all right, I can pick up here and there? Or does he just say, set the tone and try and get by as quick as he can?
Well, you know, Ricky doesn't like to run around in second, but at the same time, this has got to be kind of fun for him, you know? He's got a pretty good points gap over James, so he can afford to be a little play cat and mouse here and see what he's all about. He's never ridden behind James in a race situation for this long before. You know, he's learning right now. I think he's confident in his ability to ride fast all the way to the checkered flag, and James hasn't proven it yet. Ricky's just sitting there biding his time.
You kind of talked about it earlier. James Stewart hurt thumb. He's been injured several times this year, but that thumb, I mean, a couple of weeks into it, when you tear up your thumb, you're hanging on a lot by your thumb. A lot of people don't realize it. I don't think he's 100% either, but he looks pretty fast out there. When you can't hang on, it's hard to go fast. I think that was part of Hangtown's problem as well.
Yeah, just, oh, he hits that berm and it just stops. Then, oh,
and nowhere to go. He went to stick a foot down, and down goes Stewart. Stewart has to pick it up. They have a big gap between third place Kevin Windham. He gets it fired up and does. The two-stroke fires up nicely, but what happened there?
Well, it set it up. He hit the berm a little bit. All these berms kind of lead into a big mushy hook, and he hit it so abrupt it ruined all his momentum. Watch right here. James is going to hit this berm, and it stopped him a little bit. And Ricky, you see over there on the good dirt, has anticipated that berm being soft right there, and just rides right between the berm and James. James is going, nah, I don't want to give a lead up that easy, so he kind of leans in on him, and Ricky's like, I ain't moving.
Look at his foot. Look how far out it was. He picked it up, and Ricky was right there, had nowhere to put it. That's the worst thing when you have somebody on your inside like that, nowhere to go. A hard get off, but, well, I say hard. That was actually fairly soft for going as fast as they were in that section.
Well, he's not going to, there's no concern about third place catching up, but this battle that the crowd was really waiting to see is over with now. You see James from another angle just getting caught up in that soft berm, and you see him looking to try to block Ricky. He knows what's going on.
Look at that angle.
Ricky's like, I'm not going to shut off. Are you kidding me?
Hey, that's great camera work right there, and Ricky almost gets thrown off the track. I thought James was going straight down the line. That camera angle showed it. He was trying to shut Ricky off. He knew Ricky was there, and that was James's fault, basically. He put himself in that situation.
You know, what's cool, too, is, I mean, while that exchange was still taking place, Ricky was reaching up for a tear-off. Well, I was worried about him the rest of the moto. Let me go ahead and get my vision clear.
Kevin Windham still in third. Look at this battle for fourth. Vuillemin and Chad Reed, number 22 on the inside. The two Yamaha teammates go at it. And there goes Reed. Reed into fourth now. But can he catch up to Kevin Windham, who's in third? We'll find out when we return to Mount Morris after this.
Hi, I'm Rick Johnson, riding coach for Makita Suzuki, and this is your Suzuki riding tip of the week. Here at High Point, we've had some rain over the past couple days and some ruts have developed. What a rider needs to do is keep his focus with his vision further ahead and his weight back on his motorcycle. What that does, he drives off the back wheel and it keeps the front wheel from darting and finding the edges of the ruts. So what you want to do when you get a rutty, muddy situation, focus further ahead, keep your weight further back, and that's your Suzuki riding tip of the week.
Thanks a lot, RJ. Some helpful hints here for High Point. Ricky Carmichael leads this one, so all you got to do is lean back and pin it just like Ricky Carmichael's doing right now. James Stewart looks like he's trying to clear some mud off of his grip. That left hand trying to shake loose something right there, Dave.
Now, he just caught his foot. He went around the corner just before that, caught his foot in the ground.
Oh, he is mad right now, or in pain.
He's in a lot of pain. I think he's mad, too. He's pointing down to his foot or knee. See, he keeps it up and out of the way.
Let's go down to Aaron Bates.
J-Bone, what's going on? Bubba came around this corner pounding on his handlebars. What's happening out there?
I don't know. We're trying to figure it out. We can't really tell what's happening. We're trying to have everyone that's out there to look at the bike, but we can't tell. We don't know if the shifter or something with the bike or something with him. We can't tell yet, so we'll have to let you know.
That's what I thought at first, too, that it might be someone with the bike, the way he was gesturing with his hand, but I think he did catch his foot in the ground, and the way he was favoring it around that corner by the mechanics, look at it, it doesn't even touch right here. Something's a little tender there, and he can't catch Ricky, but I don't think Kevin can catch him.
He's in some pain. He pulled off at the last race. They said it was due to dizziness. I mean, different type of conditions. You know that thumb, I mean, several injuries, but right there, he doesn't pull off. He knows he lost a lot of points. He doesn't want to do it again. You notice the time right there, 2:34. A little bit off of Ricky's pace, David. What, 2:24?
Yeah, Ricky's backed it down now, and so is James. They're in like 2:27 range now, but still, I mean, you know, for Kevin, you think, oh, he doesn't have to try that hard because, you know, he's got another moto to go. Might as well save his energy. But at the same time, if this is practice, you got to figure out how to go as fast as Ricky Carmichael. Otherwise, that second moto is going to be more of the same.
And who would have thought, you know, I mean, this is one of the best racers, motocross racers in the world. When he's 10 seconds off of Ricky's time, that normally does not happen in racing, to have that much of a disparity between the two.
Yeah, that's the thing I can't believe. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. Where, I mean, in the second lap, they put a good 10 seconds or so on the battle for third, and they were in a battle all by themselves. Now Ricky, you know, was able to weather that storm with James and get the signal one more time on this white flag lap. The perfect season is still intact.
Will we see a perfect season 3? Mark it right now, David Bailey. Will we see another perfect season? I never thought I'd see it the first time. Definitely didn't think I'd see it the second time. What about the third?
Well, if this is any indication, Robbie, who's going to beat him? you know?
So is that a yes or a no?
It's almost a yes.
Okay, almost a yes.
You know why? Because James Stewart's in the race. You know, this next moto, he can come out and be bruised. He can go to Southwick where he's faster than sand and really take it to Ricky. I don't think he's 100% physically, and, you know, that's the difference right now. Ricky has so much confidence over the rest of the field. But, the only guy I see really straight up beating him is James Stewart.
Kevin Windham's fast, Chad Reed's fast, David Vuillemin's fast, but you're right, Stewart seems to be the one guy, that one wild card that may do it. You see Ricky, he's happy. I mean, Moto wins. He knows where he's at in his life right now, and every win is just another mark on the old record book there, and he's doing everything he can on a brand new machine. We haven't even really talked about that. The RMC 450, that's not the same bike he rode last year.
Well, so far so good. And, you know, I think even Ricky was a little disappointed with not being able to battle with all of the contenders in the first round. Now that he had a chance to battle with James, got past, and was able to get back past him through a mistake by James, you know, he's feeling like he won this thing fair and square.
And how about James Stewart having to battle his way through lap traffic, and Kevin Windham's been closing up this whole time. I mean, Windham might have seen him off in the distance today. Can I do this?
Now, you can see him in certain sections of the racetrack looking over at each other. And, you know, no one's going to feel as happy about their moto as this guy.
Another moto win. That's 3 for 3 on the year for Ricky Carmichael. The Makita Suzuki takes it again here at Mount Morris Moto 1.
OLN weekends are totally full.
Welcome back to Mount Morris, Pennsylvania's High Point Raceway. Moto number 1 of the 250s is in the books. Ricky Carmichael comes out on top.
Ricky, you led by over a minute. Bubba went down. His patience, what took place there?
Yeah, you know, we came together. He made him. He just went past me, heads up, and then I got behind him and was following him, and he went in this berm, and the berm kind of gave away, and then I was right behind him, and he tried to get back in front of me, and we hit, and he fell down, and the rest was just kind of a boring race. But another moto win. That's the important thing, and I felt really good out there.
Ho-hum, another win. Ricky Carmichael takes the victory as we take a look at the Suzuki Moto results. Can you believe that? I mean, just did it again.
Yeah, but, you know, when you look at that first page, the only difference in there is James Stewart.
Let's go down to Bubba.
Boy, got a long season left. You know, I was feeling good. You know, I wasn't even really, like, pushing it that hard. I just wanted to stay smooth and stuff, and I was right there, and I was catching through those S corners, so it's going to be a real good season for him.
Do you feel like you're at any kind of disadvantage not riding a 4-stroke?
You know, this guy's here at Kawasaki, you know, they're making my bike great, and, you know, it's the best a 2-stroke can be. It's hard here and there, but, you know, in the switchbacks, that's where I catch him, so it ain't going to be no 24-0 season, I tell you that now.
Great job.
Thank you.
Bubba ain't afraid to call it out. Nobody does more to protect your rights to ride than the American Motorcyclists Association. Every racer on the track is an AMA member. How about you? Call 1-800-AMA-JOIN or visit AMADirectLink.com. The AMA, rights, riding, racing. Now let's go between motos with the Wonder Warthog Racing Program. Only in motocross will you find groups of people who love to rally and love to help those in need. And in this sport, the privateers are universally everyone's favorite underdogs. But nobody appreciates the privateers more than Scott Kendall and Steve Bauer, the men behind Wonder Warthog Racing.
We decided we wanted to do something for the sport, and out of that came this whole altruistic program to help the privateers. You know, they might not be the stars of the show. Each privateer has their own story and their own struggles and their challenges and their successes.
People like to rally behind the privateer. I mean, everybody likes an underdog, and we love the privateer.
This summer in AMA Motocross, the Warthog will pay $1,000 every week to the most improved rider in each class. For Kendall, it's all about improving the sport and keeping these guys on the road.
They can use our resources until the sport grows to the point where economically we have the sponsors coming in, putting kind of money into the sport that will allow them to, you know, achieve some level of financial success. But it doesn't mean that they're not successful doing what they do today.
We don't make a lot of money, you know, we put in a lot of stuff. So just for them to pay back our entry fees, which was, that's an expensive hefty amount. It was just awesome that someone is going to step up and go to bat for us. And ever since then, the program just took off. Everybody supports it, and they support us.
It's hard to be a privateer in this sport because, unfortunately, the prize money isn't that good. You know, as a factory rider, you basically get majority of your money from bonuses and salary. It'd be really, really hard to survive on a prize-winning income.
All the top riders have become friends of the program to help, help us give back to the sport. And I think that's really incredible.
The program he's got going is pretty amazing. I support it in any way I can. I think it's good. That's pretty cool how he supports the privateers.
Well, there's always going to be a need for a privateer. I mean, a lot of people think of them as filler. They're just filling out the field, but that's not really the case. I mean, these guys are they're the lifeblood of the sport, and motorcycle racing is a participant sport. I mean, the people that watch it, they're the people that are participating in it.
A great program by Wonder Warthog. When we return, Moto 2 from High Point. Welcome back to High Point Raceway in Mount Morris, Pennsylvania. The AMA Motocross Series presented by FMF, the Flying Machine Factory. I'm Robbie Floyd with David Bailey, Aaron Bates down in the pits. Let's take a look at the Honda starting grid. Carmichael win in Moto 1. He looked good, David, but there's several guys who could challenge him for a little while at least.
Well, the guy that really looks like he could challenge him was that cocky look that James had on his face in the interview after the first moto. I think he discovered something that time, and he's ready to do it here.
30 minutes plus 2-lap motos. Let's see who gets the start. Looks like a great jump by Chad Reed. And taking an immediate left-hand turn. What happened there? Reedy goes to the inside all alone.
Got the start he needed. Now he's got to start from the rear. I cannot believe this guy's luck so far this season. Finished off Supercross so strong, and now he's struggling out here. And John Sebastian Waugh on a 250. James Stewart up in there in the top 3 on a 250. So these 450s a little bit overrated today. I'm surprised because the starting line is so deeply plowed and uphill.
Actonville, Quebec, Canada. Jean Sebastian Waugh, that's where he calls home. But I am surprised seeing 250s out front when all the talk has been, 450s, they need the horsepower uphill. I mean, that should be 450, but the 250 looks really good with first and third. Look at Ernesto Fonseca, the factory Honda rider, looks good. He finished 5th here, so he likes the track. He finished 5th here last year.
He always seems to do well here at Mount Morris, but James right now is just going, I got to get around these guys. I would be surprised if he started taking some crazy chances to get into the lead right here because he's still got a little bit of a gap on Ricky. If he can get around these guys, he might be able to build up a cushion and force Ricky into some pressure situation.
Canadian Waugh in the lead. There's the Costa Rican Ernesto Fonseca, now living in the U.S. in second. Whoa, it's almost going down as Waugh. Here comes the 259 and gets by both of them. David on the outside.
And, that's just heads up by James Stewart and not following. He could have been in the same line as JSR, and when he made that mistake, kind of get affected by it. But instead, like I said before, he never follows. He creates opportunities for himself. And speaking of opportunity, Ricky Carmichael realizes James is getting away, and we'll see him go to town.
Yes, sir. He's in 4th right now. The Makita Suzuki Oakley rider. Now he takes a dramatic outside line, and you talk about how they have to fight through that area. I mean, you do not have a rhythm. You just have some power. I mean, that is where all the weight training and everything really comes into play right there.
Yeah, looks like Ricky's going to get that pass made. Beautiful. I haven't seen anyone step up over that in a little while. Man, you can see the desire from Ricky to get up there and challenge James Stewart, not let him build up a lead. Ricky understands. I'm sure he has enough people in his camp to know that, James is feeling pretty good about his first moto ride. Ricky's going to come out here and put a stop to that, I guarantee. It doesn't like anyone to get momentum.
And this is we're setting it up. This is Ricky's chance not to win the overall, maybe lose a moto. A lot is on the line personally for Ricky Carmichael. Very seldom has somebody been out front and stayed out in front on Ricky. I mean, he comes up to him, he gets by him. But right now, it looks like James Stewart is every bit as fast as Ricky. Actually, Ricky's already starting to close in. He doesn't want to take too long.
He is closing in a little bit, but James is... you got to hand it to him for just taking that 250 on an uphill start, putting himself into the lead and forcing Ricky to chase. The crowd is like, uh-oh, could this be James' overall? Did he lay back the first moto and decide, I'll beat him in the next one and get the overall? It's certainly doable. That's the same corner he got swirly in the first moto. He gets a little bit of a chance right there into that berm that time, but nothing to stop his momentum. See, he takes a little look over to the left, see Ricky coming into that corner. He's well aware of who Ricky is.
David, the past few years, I got to be field reporter as well as play-by-play for some of these races. I never thought that someone could ride as fast as Ricky Carmichael until James come along. Let's talk about Ernesto. We'll get back to that in just a moment. Ernesto Fonseca trying to hold off Kevin Windham. K-Dub finished third in that first photo. Windham really needs to put on the pressure because all eyes were on him at the start of the season. I mean, he really started turning it on in Supercross there towards the end and said, well, maybe he's building into the motocross.
It didn't help that he had his shift ever ruined in the first 500 yards of the first Nationals this outdoor season. He's able to run Ricky's pace. When he got back out onto the racetrack, and then he came out and backed it up with the second place in Moto 2 after a fight with Reed. So he's doing what he can, but the starts are killing him. You look up ahead of Ernesto, you can't see the leaders anymore.
There's Ernesto Fonseca, the 24 on the inside. Windham goes to the outside, pops up out of that berm. That will set him up for the inside and does take over position. Now Windham up into third spot on that Ansoil Chaparral Napster Honda. And we're trying to represent. He's not a privateer. He's not he's on his own team, but he's not necessarily back to Honda like Ernesto Fonseca.
Yeah, and I think you're going to see a lot more of that in the future. Chad Reed will probably be in his own rig next year. Look how fast. Every time we go to James Stewart, it's just like, did we speed up the camera or something? And you can hear him all the way around the racetrack too, but the four is inching up.
The point I was trying to make earlier is, last year especially, year before that, I see James Stewart on a 125 do things that are unbelievable. I said, I don't think he can ride a 250 that way. He's showing us that he can, but can he keep it up that long the entire race? And he shows he can at times. I mean, he's only ridden so many 250, main events, whether it be Supercross or Motocross. He shows you he has the speed there.
Yeah, what today all it's all about for me is seeing that, okay, James is going to win. I couldn't answer that 24-0 question because I just kind of stopped myself and realized James is going to get faster and faster. He's like Ricky, he doesn't like to lose. I wouldn't be surprised if obviously he crashed trying to hold Ricky off. He wants to win that bad. There's not that many people that compete against Ricky that way.
And he's so accustomed to winning, like you said. I mean, they don't like to lose, and they'll do anything to keep from it. Ricky Carmichael is in second behind James Stewart. How many times have we said that? Carmichael in second in a Motocross National. How long will we stay that way? That's the question. Welcome back to Mount Morris as Parts Unlimited presents the AMA Motocross Series. FMF, our title sponsor throughout the year. And look at James Stewart. He leads Moto number 2, this 250 race. And Ricky Carmichael closing in, trying to get by seriously fast right now. He knows time is of the essence. It may be a long moto, but he's saying, right now, baby, I need it now.
Look at that dirt that James landed in off that triple. Not an easy triple to do, by the way. They're some of the only guys doing it out there. The track is just chocolate cake right now. A little mistake by James.
Look at the two different lines. Yeah, pressure. Terrible thing.
You can feel that number 4. He's like, man, this guy has won in this situation so many times. I wonder what I got to do to hold him off. That's what's going through James' mind right now. As he knows that Ricky, since he inched up, he's going to have to deal with this guy for the rest of the race, and that's a pretty overwhelming task.
The KX 252 stroke leads the 4-stroke, the RMZ 450 of Carmichael. Carmichael taking some different lines as well. That has to get into Stewart's head a little bit when he hears Carmichael totally different, the same section of the track, but totally on the outside when you're hugging those inside lines.
Look how hard they're hitting these berms. They're hitting these berms and moving them. They're molding the track into what they like. They're making it so hard. I think some of the lines are just like by accident, they're getting in the berm so fast, the berm is really taking where they want to go, and they just drift off over it so they keep their momentum on.
And so much horsepower from these machines, the big bikes out there. We don't race 500s anymore. You were a specialist at that, but these things have so much horsepower, they are able to do that. Unlike Stewart with a 125, he had to really keep up that momentum. 250, he can make his own line at will.
Now, there's a lot of places out here on the track, some of this tight stuff, where James has an advantage, but, he changed his line. Look at Ricky.
Taking advantage of it. Stewart right in the middle of the road right there. As they get by lap traffic, looks like Cole Siebler goes a lap down, and Carmichael really putting the pressure on.
Yeah, that you can tell because that last lap of the downhill, James had to alter his line.
On the inside goes Carmichael again, trying to stick that yellow front fender up there, saying, I'm here, you better not make a bobble. Might not have been the fastest line that time, but just saying, hey, here I am.
Look at this moto, too. Now, Ricky's starting to fly off those stair steps. It's actually easier when you just hit it fast. I never used to like that section because it beat the crud out of you. They're both getting over the step up. Ricky is setting them up.
Setting him up on that right-hand side. Number 4 of Carmichael. There's Stewart. Stewart looks over. He shuts the door, but too late. Carmichael gets by, and now Stewart goes at it again. Stewart put the pressure in. Oh, and almost a replay of what happened in Moto 1. Stewart sits that foot out and almost gets it taken down.
He was only able to double that as a result. He couldn't get the run out of the corner. He didn't lose that much time, but man, it just goes to show, like what we've been talking about with James, he doesn't give up. Why he goes for it. Even though he knew Ricky was passing him, he made a pretty bold move right there by landing early and trying to cut back to the inside. Ricky was savvy enough to hear him there and cover him.
Halfway through Moto number 2, Ricky Carmichael leads James Stewart. That's the way they finished in Moto 1. Stewart trying to break up the perfect season so far in 2005 for Carmichael. Look at this, just overjumps that whole section.
Right at the halfway point, too. Ricky just decides, oh, let's hit this wide open. Look at James' correction. Back to the inside. No room. Ricky was able to jump that jump, clear out onto the flat, still hold the best line.
You know, what if, David?
Watch James' foot right here. Boom. You know, that foot hit the ground and came up and smacked the swing arm, smacked the rear end of the motorcycle. That's broken the foot.
How about this ride by Chad Reed, the 22 Yamaha, working way all the way into 10th. He's trying to get by Dowdy right now on the Moose Racing Suzuki out of Massachusetts. Seat bouncing that section. Reed, very impressive. He had the whole shot, and for some reason, from the left hand on a slight bend, he made it a sharp left.
Yeah, it's so deep as mud up there in the first turn. The riders don't really get to that part of the track, you know, the rest of the day. And so it stayed a little bit deep, and it just caught him. You know, and that's the worst. When you have to go through another moto of coming from behind, putting in your very best effort, knowing there's no way in the world you're going to finish in the top 3. It's kind of, you know, for Chad, he knows he's capable of a lot better than that. So this is an agonizing moto for him right now.
Chad Reed finished 3rd here last year. He's not going to do that, or he's going to have to have a miracle happen for him to finish 3rd this year. The 22 rider out of Australia had a very impressive Supercross season, finished 2nd behind Ricky Carmichael. Right now, Carmichael showing the cream of the crop in the motocross. What do you think about Reed's motocross skills, the outdoor guys? Everybody says he's a Supercross specialist. He looks pretty darn good at motocross as well.
Yeah, he looks faster in this moto. I think he's probably riding with a little bit of anger, too, after going down the first turn. And throwing caution to the wind a little bit, just saying, you know what, I don't even care if it's going to pin this thing. And it's actually starting to work in his favor a little bit more. He popped up really high off of that jump. That's what he showed.
Yeah, a smooth line would have done. I mean, those are things you look later on in the motor like that for the faces to change. We saw a little bit of that right there.
Yeah, he'll probably make that alter his line through that the next time. But he's starting to put the pressure on Preston. He knows he's eventually going to get him. I'm sure that's how he feels anyway with the way he caught him. But still, you know, it's going to be a disappointing moto for Chad Reed in the grand scope of things. He'll lose a lot of points in this championship.
Travis Preston out of Hesperia, California, in 9th place, just in front of Reed. Reed goes to the inside. He's going to have a good line here. He stays on the throttle just a little bit longer, and now Reed moves into 9th spot. Preston drops back on the factory Honda to 10th. Chad Reed's moving up. The time is counting down. Ricky Carmichael is out in front of this. Stick with us. David Bailey and Aaron Bates with you here in Mount Morris, Pennsylvania. The AMA Motocross Series presented by FMF. We're glad you can be a part of it. Ricky Carmichael is out in front, but he didn't start that way. Early pole shot recipient was Chad Reed. He made an immediate left turn, went off the track, dropped back. Carmichael had to fight with James Stewart just a few laps ago, and Carmichael has since checked out David Bailey.
Well, he had the opportunity to do what James did to him in the first moto, was to reel him in, scope him out, get a kind of a taste for, you know, how fast he's going, the lines he was using, and then at the halfway point just decided, all right, I'm going to put down 2 fast laps here and see what happens, and he was able to gap him. The gap stayed the same.
Team Kawasaki, Jeremy Albrecht, the mechanic of James Stewart, giving him the pit signals out there. He's probably just saying, hey, ride your own race, don't do anything crazy, gain the points. But you have to be impressed by the fortitude of Carmichael. Didn't get the best start, worked his way up, battled with the guy who everybody's saying is going to give him the challenge all year. Has checked out since then.
I'm sure Ricky felt good about beating James in the first moto, but he feel a lot better about it this time because James is riding all out as far as I can tell. But I want to go back and say that, you know, I don't think he's been able to prepare physically and ride and train during the week like he would like to, with the sickness, his hand, his rib, his foot before that. So Ricky was able to train and test. And You know, that's the difference today. James has given it 100%, but he's only got about 80 to give. So after this race is a week off, and I expect him to be way more informed and have a good look at what he needs to do now. He's never raced with Ricky before, and now he knows he's getting beat by him, but it's not going to happen very many times.
And remember, boys and girls, this is the second stop of 12. We still have a lot more racing, a lot more AMA motocross to go throughout the year. Expect those two to go at it again. White flag comes out, one more lap to go here at Mount Morris. Ricky Carmichael trying to work his way through lap traffic and trying to do something really special. Only the third rider to ever win 4 Mount Morris events. Ricky Johnson, also Damon Bradshaw, the beats from the East, the only other 2 riders to do so.
Yeah, pretty much the ink doesn't even dry before they got to rewrite another record. Everything Ricky does is another record. It's incredible. I mean, he's stacking up records for Suzuki as well while he's doing all these motos. And, you know, now he's into the 30s for consecutive motos that he's been able to win. I mean, I've just never seen anything like this in the sport. I mean, Michael Jordan was good, but he had people around him that helped him. He was nice. He didn't do that well on his own. And Carmichael is out there by himself all the time, 450, 250, indoors and out.
And not just the specials, not just good at Supercross or Motos. We see Kevin Windham in 3rd place, hit by Sean Hamlin, who's a lap down. But, you know, he's not just a specialist on one of the others. He's dominated this year so far. You know, he had to back it down for Supercross a little bit. You know, he's the top guy in the world. There's no question. I mean, he's putting an exclamation point to it right here in Mount Morris, showing everybody, hey, I have the best. I'm up against him, and I'm showing you I'm fast.
You know, I talked to a mechanic after the first round about the bike, and he's like, you know, he really had no baseline to start with. He didn't know how the bike was going to perform. And, you know, a lot of his competitors had problems at the first race in Hangtown, and today, not too many excuses from the other guys. Straight up, he was able to beat James Stewart, and, you know, I think that says a lot for the motorcycle as well. I think all the guys who picked. And I know Ricky's confident in himself. I mean, look at that. He's pumped. But now the guys wearing the yellow shirts around the truck can relax a little bit as well.
You're exactly right. Roger DeCoster, I mean, he is a genius, but it makes him look like even more a genius. Brings Ricky in, wins the Supercross champion, looks very good now on the 4-stroke. That Sebastian Fortelli's really been developing this past year. And just showing you how good the Suzuki is out there on the track. What happens on the racetrack sells in the dealerships, and I think a lot more yellow bikes will be sold here very soon. Ricky Carmichael takes moto number 2 at Mount Morris. He is stoked, and his 4th victory here at the Mount Morris track in the 250cc class. Yeah, he's happy, Dave.
And if you look back down that Bradshaw Boulevard straightaway, you don't see James Stewart, so he was able to get a gap on him. And, you know, there was no question today who was the best. No excuses from anybody, and Ricky's going to be able to rest on that for the next couple of weeks, knowing that he's got everyone covered for now.
And James Stewart, his best ever finish in 250 motocross. 2-2 moto scores will give him 2nd overall. Let's take a look at our Suzuki moto results. RC Stewart, Windham, Fonseca in 4th. I believe that should give him his best finish here at Mount Morris as well. Look at Chad Reed worked his way all the way up into 8th spot. But Ricky Carmichael, the man of the hour, bumping wheelies like Nomad out there. I mean, perfect moto scores, 1-1.
He's already got his little track after the race laid out where he knows he can go get up next to the fans. It's becoming a habit for him.
Goes down to Aaron Bates with 3rd place.
Kevin, consistently getting faster as the motor progressed. What is it going to take to run up front with these guys?
I don't know. Just keep working at it. Keep going to the drawing board. And I was riding consistent at 3-3, but probably obvious that's not really what I wanted to do. It's you know, we got to get up there. We got to challenge Ricky for the sake of the sport and for the sake of ourselves. You know, we all want to win. We want to win bad. And you know, we're going to the off weekend. It just gives us more time to get out there and ride and try to catch that RC guy.
That's not the last we'll see of Kevin Windham as we take a look at the overall results. Carmichael, Stewart, Windham, Fonseca does finish in 4th. He finished 5th here last year, some improvement. John Dowd in the 10th spot. Good to see Dowdy back riding motocross again. So down to James Stewart.
I'm having fun, you know. It's just a working process, and we get better every week. And yeah, I feel good, you know. I feel like I can win these things. You know, I just need to work harder. After last week, you know, dehydration. I really recovered during the week, and I'm back. You know, I'm getting stronger, and it'll be good for Southwick. I like staying, and hopefully we get it.
All right, our Honda highlight today, David, run us through this.
Well, it was the pass in the first moto by James Stewart, just bonsaiing his way down those stair steps, making Ricky go, well, I don't really want to have to go down there that fast if I don't have to. Then the contact. Small mistake by James. Led to contact. He's trying to cover his line. Ricky going, I ain't going to move off of my line. And then the second moto, Carmichael airs it out over the finish line jump. A quick maneuver by James to try to get right back at him, but ultimately it was Carmichael in this corner with the perfect line. Never looked back from there.
Let's go down to Aaron.
Ricky Carmichael, 1-1 for the overall victory. Ricky, this marks your 17th overall consecutive win. How sweet was this win for you?
Oh, it was fun. You know, that battling like that, you know, regardless of the result, that's what racing's all about. And that's what the sport needs. That's what everybody wants to see. And this was a fun weekend. It was fun for me. I'm sure it was fun for Bubba. And it's going to be like that, you know. I'm sure the other guys are going to step in there with Kevin and Chad. And but we were definitely riding good today, and I felt good. Definitely got to give it up to the team, Makita Suzuki there. They were awesome.
I'm sure somebody will step up, Ricky says, but when? That's the question. David, take a look at the points. The Ricky perfect score, and really 28 points between first and second. That's going to be hard to make up. I don't care if we're in the start of the season or not.
Well, you can't even give Carmichael 5 points, you know, because when are you going to get that back?
A long road home for the rest of the riders. Ricky Carmichael comes out on top here at Mount Morris. For David Bailey, Aaron Bates, I'm Robbie Floyd. This has been a presentation of OLN. For more, log on to OLNTV.com. We'll see you next time at Southwick.